Do you love movies? So do I. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies, inviting you to listen to The Conversation, a film podcast where passion meets perspective and opinion. From the old school to the new, I invite a guest on to discuss the movies that thrill us, challenge us, break our hearts, or even blow our minds. There's always new episodes dropping wherever you get your podcasts. So join the conversation. We don't just watch movies. We love talking about them too. The Conversation with KB Loves Movies, a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the three hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, you know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week, and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Welcome to the Kulturecast. I'm Chris Stachiw.
I'm Sean Liang.
Sean is going to be joining me for some bonus Kulturecasts. They're going to be coming out the Wednesday of every week this month because we had too many interviews for the normal amount of podcasts.
What a good problem.
Which is, that is a good problem to have as far as I'm concerned. So before we talk about the movie in question today, which is Elvira, Mistress of Darkness, Sean, have you been watching anything of note this week?
I have been watching a lot of horror movies on your list, actually, that I haven't seen before. I'm having a great time.
Yeah?
I am. This is my favorite genre.
Yeah, it's my favorite genre, too, which is why I'm so excited that we have more than the normal amount of podcasts to do.
Exactly. That's awesome. It's a great thing.
Yeah. And when I reached out to you about doing some bonus podcasts, you thought it was a good idea. So... and you were down for it, which is awesome.
100%. It's my favorite, and I thought, well, this is a great chance to get some one-on-one with Chris. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's been a long time since I have been just joined by one guest co-host, and this is the first time I think ever.
Really?
So, yeah, this is the first. I have never had just a guest co-host and not a writer from the site.
Well, what an honor, and it's a perfect month for that.
Right, it totally is. Also of note, it's the 1-year anniversary of the site, which is awesome.
Yay,
as well.
Congrats!
Yeah, thank you. We've come a long way since a year ago. But let's get right to Elvira. I haven't been watching anything of note this week other than stuff that we're going to be talking about later this month. So it's not even a point in talking about it.
Exactly.
So Elvira, Mistress of Darkness came out in 1988, and the synopsis for the film is: when her great aunt dies, famous horror hostess Elvira heads for the uptight New England town Falwell to claim her inheritance of a haunted house, a witch's cookbook, and a punk rock.
Here's a superhero with the biggest pair of all.
You looking for me?
There she was, just walking down the street singing.
Miss Elvira is a slimy, slithering succubus, a concubine, a streetwalker, a tramp.
Yes, she's got it all. She's everything you've ever wanted in a movie. A woman and a casserole.
She was walking next to me singing.
You'll see lots of weird romance.
It stars Cassandra Peterson as Elvira. It also stars William Morgan Sheppard, who I spoke with about the film, so we'll play that interview here in a little bit. But it is probably the lightest fare this month in regards to horror, because it's more of a horror comedy than just straight horror.
Yeah, I think it got the name horror just because it has sort of like a dark overtone, but I didn't think it was scary at all.
Right. Well, and also Elvira is, she was a horror hostess in the 80s. So I think that it's, horror, I think, in
by default,
in air quotations.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Sean, had you seen this film before, and what are your thoughts?
I had not. This is a movie I'm glad that I watched, because I remember as a kid seeing like posters for this movie and not really understanding. Like, it obviously looked like a horror movie, but it also looked like a porno. So I knew I wasn't allowed to see it.
To be fair, anything that Cassandra Peterson is involved in is borderline pornography.
That's true. I can imagine that being true.
Yeah.
But then I kept seeing posters reappearing in like Spencer's gift stores, and I was like, all right, well, it's something that I should know about because I'm a huge fan of horror. So I'm glad we watched it. It was so campy. I didn't expect it to be that campy. It was fun, but like I said, I just didn't expect. I didn't think it was a horror.
And it really isn't. There are some creature effects, and some, and towards the end of the film, William Morgan Sheppard becomes kind of a monster.
That's right.
Thing.
That's right.
Yeah, but in regards to typical,
it's like family horror, I would say, kind of, except for it's kind of hard because Elvira's not really a family icon, right? Would you say?
Right. No, I totally agree. She's a late night TV horror movie host, she's not for kids. Just look at the way she dresses. Right. That's not for kids.
Right. She's more Nick at Night, sort of.
Yeah. And, her breasts are always very pronounced, and her cleavage is always very present. And a lot of the things she says are double entendres.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's true.
So
it reminded me of like a Beetlejuice or something, except for maybe, I don't know. It's along the lines of a Beetlejuice to me.
It really is. It's not. It is horror comedy, but less horror and more comedy, which isn't a bad thing.
Right. No, I don't think I enjoyed the movie. I'll say that for sure.
Right. My only issue with the movie is towards the end of the film, the plot becomes kind of secondary to everything that is going on.
Yeah, I would say that it's kind of like that throughout the whole thing.
I could see you making that. I could see you making that argument.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I am, the whole kind of driving force of the movie is Elvira, her great uncle, Vincent Talbot, played by Morgan Sheppard, is a warlock trying to get a book back that Elvira's aunt hid so that he couldn't use it to take over the world, I guess.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And the whole film, for the most part, the major kind of villain is him just trying to get this book back, and that's it.
Yeah, and then her, I guess, corrupting the town. That's pretty much
right.
It.
And her dealing with kind of the shithead townspeople.
Yeah.
So I like the movie, but I think that they could have focused less on the plot and more on just maybe not even focus us on the plot. They should have shored the plot up a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's so sort of divided. What her goals are. Like, she starts off in like this TV studio, and I think that was sort of to set up for those of us who, like for me, for example, who didn't know her as a TV personality beforehand. It kind of sets that stage, and then she's got her shows being canceled, and then she's gonna go to Vegas to do a show, but then she has this giant detour. So that kind of gets put on the back burner throughout the whole movie, because then the plot changes to now we have to sort of deal with this death in the family and also this town that doesn't accept her. And you kind of forget about the main plot.
Well, and, I think, obviously the main plot of the film is just to get her to...
Exactly.
Yeah, is just to get her to the town of Falwell. It's not that I don't... I enjoy this movie. My fiance is a huge fan of Elvira. We actually met Elvira a couple years ago.
That's awesome.
But the only thing that wasn't awesome was she didn't look like Elvira. She looked like Cassandra Peterson.
Oh, that's no fun.
Which she... Sometimes when she's doing appearances, she does appearances as Elvira. Sometimes she does appearances as Cassandra Peterson. Yeah. Which isn't, I mean, no offense, but that's not that exciting.
Right. Well, we want to see Elvira. We know her.
Right,
exactly.
right.
That makes sense.
And when she's not on screen, the film also suffers.
I agree with you. Yeah, totally. She's such a strong, and it's not like the other actor. There's so many character actors that are familiar.
No. William Morgan Sheppard is awesome in this movie as the bad guy.
Yeah.
He's totally great. But when the film is about Elvira, it does kind of suffer and slow down when she's not on screen.
Yeah, and I don't want to say that she was one of the writers, right? She was. It kind of, I'm not surprised about that, and I'm not saying that it's a bad, but like, I agree. I feel like that might have something to do with it a little bit. But it's just, it seemed like what her television show might be without her. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and to be fair, her television show, all it was just her kind of being the host of late night movies and her just cracking jokes at them before and after commercials.
Right.
So it's not like she even really has like a whole lot to do in her stuff. So this is the first time you really get to see her kind of personality.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, that's what I would say. She'd be like a personality, TV personality. I don't know. It's interesting because like you wouldn't expect. How do you expand that into a movie? I guess is this the first? They made a couple movies, didn't they?
I'm not,
or maybe they're just TV specials. I was seeing.
I'm not sure. I want to say that no, there was another one, Elvira's Haunted Hills.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't. It's not like this. It's not a sequel to this.
I see.
It's just another movie.
That's fun. It's interesting because I remember watching this. I had to totally take myself because this was 2 years before I was born, and I had to sort of put my headspace because now that that makes sense if she's got like this. She's a TV personality, and then she's created this movie. It makes sense that it would be disjointed without her.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the real issue with this movie is that it really is one of those movies that when you don't have the main character on screen, you really have to do something interesting to make the film interesting.
Right.
And not where you're just like zoning out, waiting for her to show back up again.
I agree with you. I felt like there were times when it felt like I was waiting and sort of not bored, but like it didn't seem like it made much of a difference if I was paying attention until she was there,
And that's primarily just the townspeople.
Yeah.
Not the villain, Vincent Talbot. It's really the townspeople that are just not terribly interesting.
They're just kind of confusing. They don't seem to have they don't seem to have I don't know. I didn't understand even like the guy that I can't remember his name, but the guy romance, the
Seabass from Dumb and Dumber.
Yes. Okay. Even that character, I'm not sure who he really is. You know what I mean? I feel like all the characters are basically kind of surface characters. They're caricatures.
I totally agree. It's just it's fine that they didn't give a lot of the other people a whole lot to do. It's fine. I get it.
Yeah.
But then make sure that Elvira is a larger part of the film.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the town meetings that they would have, like that's when it's almost like it was only plot or it was just essential to moving the story along, and it wasn't.
Right. It was just exposition.
Exactly, and they were just sitting at a table. Yeah. So.
And again, it's not really a fault of the film as much as just the writing.
Yeah, the style in which it was written, and that makes sense. And I had to. It was a little strange. It was strange that her jokes. I wasn't used to that. Like, she would turn to the camera and crack jokes, and I thought that was off-putting at first. But then I kind of enjoyed it because she's cute, she's fun, But some of those jokes were so corny. It just works because I guess that's her thing. But
right.
I had to totally readjust my, perspective watching this movie.
Right, because when we picked it for this month, I picked it specifically because I've seen it countless times, and it's a little lighter than a lot of the other stuff we're going to be watching this month.
Yeah.
Some of the movies we're watching this month are just dark.
Yeah, they are. Some of them gave me like new nightmares, and that was awesome.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, and that is, it's good to have that balance.
Right. Exactly. This is a fun. I'm glad that I have this to go back to because it definitely sets a mood. It's like watching. For me, it's kind of like watching Disney movies. You don't really have to pay attention, but it kind of sets the tone, And it's definitely you watch this movie and it's so Halloween. She lives in a haunted house, man, and like it's so cool to see. Just the imagery is awesome.
And her look is iconic. There's a reason that her character is kind of been, I don't know if it's important, but, her character is a pop culture icon.
Yeah.
And it has been for a long time, and she will continue to be, as long as she keeps doing the gimmick. I mean, I don't see it stopping anytime soon. She still does Elvira stuff. She's doing a show in Vegas.
Oh,
I want to say, like, for real.
that's awesome. Wait,
I want to say. So
that's something I would totally see too.
Right. But the things that I enjoyed about this movie were some of the practical effects.
Yeah.
Which there's like at one point they're cooking, and Elvira makes this kind of monster by cooking the wrong thing.
That's right.
And it's like this like kind of monster that's coming out of this pot.
Yeah. It rips her clothes off just in time. And it looked because she tastes it, doesn't she? She like tastes it before she takes it out, and then when she takes it to the table, she lifts the lid, and it's
like this monster flying out. Yeah. Well, it's clearly like someone's arm in like a puppet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But it's cool. It's like fun, and it's shot. I mean, it's a cool monster, but then they just throw it down the drain.
Yeah. I mean, I like that the movie had practical effects, and obviously with the budget that they were operating on, which was $7.5 million.
Yeah.
Which is a huge budget.
Yeah, but I mean, by the way. Yeah, it is. Especially
even with that in mind, I don't know where all that budget went outside of the couple creature effects.
Yeah.
Because there's not a whole lot that happens in this movie that would warrant a $7.5 million budget.
Right. I mean, maybe the set, but I mean, we don't even get to see a whole lot of the house. Like we just see like the same areas over and over. And I'm trying to think, where would that budget go? It almost looks like they're on like the back lot of like Warner Brothers or something.
Yeah, no, that's totally what it feels like, is just they're on a back lot somewhere.
Yeah.
Which again is fine. And I'm not really expecting a whole lot from a comedy horror film.
No, and if anything, it kind of that's what I mean by the atmosphere. It kind of it takes you into this world that's obviously different. And I don't know, there's something about that I like, you know what I mean? That I don't mind that it feels like it's on a studio lot, and that it feels like we're in a, different world where like, I mean, her normal is definitely not our normal. So I kind of like that.
Right. And, a lot of the credit for this movie needs to be given to Cassandra Peterson.
Oh, yeah.
Because she is Elvira. She is that character. And that is the best part of the movie, is her character.
Oh, yeah. And you definitely, I mean, right away, I like her. You know what I mean? And it's fun. She seems like she's a very relatable character. And I can, like, so it's fun to see that. But then also to see her in this town of people who are just like, it's basically going into Footloose. You know what I mean? Like, which I like, it's always fun to, I mean, and it's fun to relate to her in the sense that I have my own dark side that I enjoy. Like when she got that poodle, I was like, it's a poodle. And then she gave it some pink hair and I loved it,
Yeah, no, I mean, her character in the film is the only one outside of maybe Vincent Talbot who is fully realized.
Yeah, that's
everyone else is just kind of one-dimensional.
Exactly. And maybe that's probably why, we don't really care about watching just them.
Right.
We want to see them interact with her.
Which again is fine, but it's a 96-minute movie and there are times when it drags because she's not on screen.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But speaking of William Morgan Sheppard, let's play that interview with him, and when we get back, we'll talk a little bit more about the film. What drew you to the role of Vincent Talbot in Elvira, Mistress of Darkness?
Well, it was the fact that they wanted Vincent Price. And the producer, Joe, he said, well, they couldn't afford Vincent Price. Or Vincent wanted too much money or whatever. And he read me and then said, I want to have you. So, but this went on for about 2 or 3 callbacks. And I said, why all the callbacks? He said, because you change the damn thing every time you do it. And I want you to go in and read with the bosses, the producers, and be consistent. So I went in and read it. And I read it fairly straight, actually. I didn't do anything silly with it. And so I got it, and that was it. And Cassandra, she had a look at me and just said, fine. And we got on very well as it happened. And that was it. Then I got the role, and I was ill in the middle of it with the flu virus or something like that, which didn't help. But it steadied up, and we had it was a fun shoot. It was a very, very she's great, of course, because she's Groundlings, and then she's much more experienced than most people imagine. I then started to realize that I was in genuinely a comedy, which she was ad-libbing in every so often. A couple of the best lines, actually, the ad-libs, were actually genuine ad-libs. Like the one about she got a bang and a knock on her head, and she had a she had a bandage. Yeah, and he had a bandage. Danny Green, the lead hunk. I used to call him hunk, but teasing. But he had banged his head as well, and he suddenly looked at her with the bandage and suddenly said, "How's your head?" And she said, "I've had no complaints so far." Oh. And that came straight out of her. I mean, it really was. She was like that. And stuff like that. Take longer strides, all sorts of, and stuff. So I can't walk and chew gum at the same time more again. Lovely lady. It was fun. And it resulted in calling me about 2 years ago to the Electric Theatre, which was, as you know, it's a very camp movie, right? It's a very camp movie. Well, this place, she said, I can warn you that it's a gay paradise. This evening, midnight, I told my wife with me as well. And I ended up being accosted in the funniest way possible by two Japanese gay guys, and my wife standing by watching in the corner, laughing her head off at me being so bloody uncomfortable because I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, And but I have my wife watching me dealing with a mass of people. That's her. I mean, that's Cass. She's great like that. She's great. She's fun. She lives a life in terms of fun and in terms of her character, very, very much so. She's made it work. My God, she made it work. And I think she should be, because she's a character comedian. She should be. I don't know. She's so wedded to that character. It's a bit difficult for her to explain. Except that you wouldn't recognize her off. You really wouldn't. It's a red-headed woman, small red-headed woman. A lot of the stuff was coined on the spot. You've got to do that with comedy. I feel a character comedy. I mean. Pro comedians, some stand-up guys, that's not quite the same thing. I directed a play in LA with 4 stand-up comedians, and the first thing I generally said was, I know you all do your shtick. I know that, I understand it, and I'll allow you space in which to expand. Because that's what most of you want to do. And they were good guys. Scott Frank is stand-up, I can't remember the names of the other 3, but they were good. They were good in the show went well. And they loved being dramatic. And they all said, can we share that line? I said, what line? They said, well, you've got a line in the play which goes, and the old man sat in the chair, and the old lady gave him a dram of whiskey. Maybe that's love. I'd like to say that. I've never said a line like that. So, and it's that kind of freedom, that kind of recognition of there's a hole there, there's a space there, there's something there. What is it? Oh yeah, let's go for that. And it was a very free show in that respect. Jim Signorelli was the director. That's right, Jim Signorelli, and he had done Saturday Night Live, and so there was that kind of ambiance was carried through. I took it seriously because I know Uncle Vinny, after Vincent Price, that's what she'd named the character, my character, after Vincent Price. And I just kept my joke always was, well, I'm a cheap Vincent Price. I didn't realize often how funny he was. And I've seen it since, obviously, so every so often I see it. And that hurt. Ooh, that hurt. With the shoe in my head, it's one of my sons, Mark Sheppard, favorite photographs of me. He's the one who insisted that we print up 200 copies of it. I'm used to conventions. Whenever I go to a convention, I get asked about it. It's because it's traveled very well. It has done. Yeah. Okay, your turn.
How is working horror comedy different than working just straight horror?
You've got to play. Okay, good question. You've got to play it more honestly. You've really got. I mean, comedy, as you know, demands truth. Above all, it demands truth. You can't fake. It's got to be those wonderful things of stuff like Edwin in the hospital bed and his son Steen and Wynn watching him, and suddenly a very large nurse suddenly appeared at the door. And Edwin sat up in bed and shouted at her, "Please don't sing." I mean, that's genius. What I realized with comics and working and directing comics is that they can't help it. They got a score. And to be in a room like I did, like a Mice from Mars, I learned a lot from doing that. We did about 60 episodes of the series, and I had to play. I played a Plutarchian fish, and that's quite a treat for the Royal Shakespeare Company actor, which I did for 12 years. And suddenly I'm out in Hollywood doing Plutarchian fish in cartoon series, and enjoying it because I'm surrounded by some of the best voiceover guys in the business. Really, some of the Brad Garrett and Jill Byrne, and what's his name? He does all the Ninja Turtles. Well, and these guys are suddenly the director said, "Oh, we need another voice here." And so, yeah, okay, what? He said, maybe Elvis's alien brother. They all went for it. All 4 comics in the room. No, I didn't. All 4 comics in the room went for it, just to top each other. Nicest possible way, but staying sharp. And then I met Eddie Izzard in Bristol Farms, up in Nottingham, Fairfax. And Fairfax Avenue. And I walked over to him and said, "You're the funniest man on the planet," which I really do believe. He was having a huge role at that time. He was really, really terrific. Very, very, very clever. Actually, an intellectual comedian in many ways who can be silly. And I just said, "How do you keep your stuff fresh?" He said, "Oh, molten. That is such a marvelous note. I've used that ever since. I use that. I've been doing. They don't give me comedy a lot out here, except every so often I'll get a comedy priest to do. I've done several, 2 or 3 of those actually, in various either TV shows, in various TV shows. But normally I'm known for the voice and a series of voices and funny and dangerous. One of the lines they used about me apparently. And I said to one director, "What I mean?" He said, "Funny and dangerous." He said, "Yeah, that's what you do." Oh, I know, because I used to do character comedy, being of Irish descent. We're not afraid to act the Aegis, as we call it. It's very important that you are capable of acting the idiot, right? And
right.
And so I love doing it now because I don't get the chance to do it that often. But the answer, horror, you've got to be even more sincere. And comedy is exaggeration. Your best guys, the best guys are out here in many cases. They really are. I mean, Jon Stewart and Jon Stewart, I think is, and the other one just Stephen Colbert. These guys are improv, skating on a dime. I mean, do you know what I mean? They take such risk because they can go flat, and the great thing is they acknowledge it. If I screwed that up, yeah, screw that didn't fly, that didn't. No, I'm not moving on, and it's high energy, and for horror comedy, you've got to be even more deadly serious and probably more exaggerated in the sense of, but it's got to be truthful. It's got to be backed with the truth. Your turn.
You mentioned, working with Cassandra Peterson and James Signorelli. Anyone else from the cast stand out to you that you interacted with? I mean,
some of the old ladies of the council were wonderful. They were the older lady. I'm 83, but that was then. This is now. And some very Edie, of course, Edie McClurg, I think the name.
Right.
Yeah. But the other old lady, they played the married couple very sour, and they created a lovely relationship between each other, which wasn't necessarily in the script. But they very, they've been around. This couple had been around quite a long time. I can't remember the names. It's too long ago, and I'm too old to remember everything. But I remember Edie, of course, because Edie's quite a name, and a considerable talent. There was a general air of, it was pretty good. I only mentioned that I was ill because one of the nicer things happened, that I had to do a biggish speech and frighten them all in the church hall, something like that. And
right.
I was feeling lousy. I had a temperature, but old pro, so you go in and do it. And they knew I was not well, and I did it, and then I did it again, and I got stronger in doing it, and bless them all, they applauded the speech after I'd done after about the second take, which was not in the script, and it was just a thing to get through it, which they recognized. They'd all been in that situation themselves, because they were a lot of old. Oh, and God, the lady I was always flirting with, Sally, big, tall, leggy, lovely, leggy blonde. I like flirting. And so when because to get away from Vincey sometimes, I'd calm down and just be normal, offset. And she was one of the people down there, I think it was Sally, tall, leggy blonde. We used to flirt and just have jokes and relax ourselves, and then we go on and then I go on and start trying my best to frighten people all the time.
And you talked about interacting with the cast and interacting with Cassandra Peterson and your time on the film. Is there any scene in the film that you're particularly proud of that you were in?
Well, that speech was towards the middle of where I go in and threaten them. I've almost taken over the town because I really was feeling lousy with that virus thing, and I was pleased with that. I got through it. The stuff at the ending was very, very difficult to shoot. It was very, very tiring. When I was chasing her in the graveyard, and that was one of the better scenes. And the very first scene, which gave me a chance to be sophisticated. It's not something that I'm known for or that I do particularly. I'm never cast for being sophisticated. But I have, as I said, I have been cast for being funny. And it's all standing in Philadelphia. I did one of those last year. I had a very good run with, I did Dexter as an Alzheimer priest, crazy old priest. Then I did another priest in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and Mad Men, where I didn't play a priest, but played a racist Englishman. And I don't get a great kick out of watching myself. The only thing I'll say is that was okay. That was okay. Because it's never, after 57 years I've been doing this, and I love it. I still love it, and I still love the energy. And even though I'm lucky, I've got my health, I'm 83, but I'm still working. I just had a nice little film come out it's coming out this year again. I did an independent movie in Texas, and really had a wonderful time with people like Barry Corbin and Richard Reel and good director. And a joy to do. So my criteria is quite. Look at the people I've worked with. O'Toole, Finney, Schofield, all these guys. That was in Europe. Max von Sydow here. Ed Harris and Michael Mann, David Lynch, Christopher Nolan, J.J. Abrams. All the Star Trek. I've done 4 Star Treks. I'm sort of semi-known for Star Trek in a way.
Right.
And Gettysburg, of course, we were 2 Irish, Anglo-Irish, two of us in a cast of 120 Americans. I was very honored, and so was Jimmy. We both went to the same school in Dublin, 30 years between us. Jimmy Lancaster, and he played the English observer of the battle, and I was, of course, General Trimble, which was one of the best roles I've had. I would say here, definitely one of the best roles. I tend to get what I call impact roles. Short and a smaller role. I mean, I had a fan walk up to me in Florida, Orlando, and he said, "I've been wanting to meet you, Mr. Sheppard, for 15 years." And I went, "Oh, good, okay." We shook hands. He said, "Why is it you only play small parts?" I said, "Well, they didn't used to be small. They just got smaller as you get older, because they do. They truncate the way like the body does. You know what I mean?"
Well, I was going to ask you, because you mentioned that you've played a fair number of priests.
Yeah.
What do you think that kind of that reasoning behind you being cast as priest, or maybe I guess some people consider that typecasting? Is that something that
it's a bit of that? Yeah, a couple have seen me do it, and it's a voice. It's I've been very lucky with priest. I mean, one of the best ones I had was in Needful Things with Max von Sydow up in Canada. Yeah, that's right. Vancouver. That was a good movie, and that was a good movie, and that was a lovely role as sort of not, another priest. Being Irish, I was brought up around priests, and I know what priests do. I mean, I actually asked the Archbishop of Vancouver in the bar at LAX, and I went over to him and said, "I'm doing this movie. Could you look at this scene? Do you mind? Are you guys still doing this, like a mass?" And he looked at it, he said, "Oh, no, we don't do that anymore." I said, "Oh, what do you do?" And he just made a couple of cuts, and so that was great. I do that kind of research. And,
right.
Jesuits, and I want to say souls. I want to save souls. He said to me, that's it. Focus on that. Saving of souls. Bringing people back to Christ. And back to the church.
Right.
I'm a Protestant. I'm a Protestant. I wasn't a Catholic anyway. But I was brought up in Ireland as a kid. So I could see them, and meet them. And later on you'd drink with them on the boat, on the ferry, going across to England or to go back to Ireland. You'd have a drink with them in the bar. Particularly Irish priests are like that. And I suppose I got to sort of caught into those, and I don't mind. I love it, because they get, they're juicy. Some of them are juicy, and there's something to add to a character. Oh yeah, one of the nice ones was the one with a film with Eva Longoria and Lake Bell, Over My Dead Body. That's right. There was another priest. That was a Lutheran or Baptist or something like that, who does exorcisms. This one works. And that's what's funny about it. The whole fact is, well, and suddenly she reappears, and then suddenly, because she's dead, Eva Longoria, the character's dead. But I keep bringing her back to life, and suddenly I turn to Lake Bell, the girl who's asked me to find her. Can you get hold of my friend who passed over? And I get her and look at her, and the director just gave me a line and just said, "You know what to say?" I said, "What?" "Go on, say it." And he just whispered in my ears, "Let's go." And so we lined up and went again, and so we went again. It was lovely. Suddenly, come back. And suddenly she appears. I went, well, Jesus, I'll be buggered. I'll be buggered. It could get you into trouble,
Right.
No, okay.
Well, and, you is it important for you as an actor, and obviously you have been doing this, for quite a while. You mentioned that, if someone asks you, you're always in the small roles. Is that something that you've enjoyed being able to?
Yeah, but no, I welcome them because often they're parts, and as you quite rightly assume, a lot of actors don't want to play, or if they do, they don't know what to do with them. I love the challenge. You see, I was brought up, my acting, I went to RADA, I won a scholarship, and came out of the Merchant Navy when I was 23, 24, and I got a RADA at 25, and blue collar. and they got rid of my Irish accent, and so I could sound British, and I worked in England for 30 years. But I was in the Royal Shakespeare Academy for 12 years, and 3 of those years were with Peter Brook. Well, he is maybe one of the best theatre director in the world, probably Peter Brook. And I had 3 years with that man who has a belief and a pursuit of excellence and the truth above all the truth. All he ever just says, did I believe you? Do I believe you? Is that believable? Are you telling the truth? Or are you being very clever and faking again? Because you've been well trained and you can do it and you're smart. I don't want that in my show. I don't want it. And the boy over there is reading a newspaper. He's gone. He went the next morning. He was reading a newspaper with the rest of us, including the stars like Glenda Jackson and people like that. She won 2 Oscars for Ghost. And I tell you, the sort of level of work that I was accustomed to and partook of is like Glenda Jackson in Marat Sade, which we did on Broadway. I'm on Broadway twice. Marat, which is set in a French lunatic asylum of 1812. She had to play a narcoleptic patient, right? Narcoleptic patient, speaking speeches written for her by the Marquis de Sade, so that she doesn't understand a bloody word of it, but she has to say it, and in a manner and a style that a current audience in a Broadway theatre, the Martin Beck Theatre, would understand what the play was about. That's 3-dimensional acting. And when you witness that, or you're part, or you're on stage with that, and then comes the night that the star, one of the 2 stars, 3 stars, Ian Richardson, Pat McGee, and Glenda, Pat had a heart attack on stage. Brooke said, "Who's the understudy?" And I went, similar. He went, "Oh, good. Do you know it?" "Yes." "Have you had a rehearsal?" "No." "Well, you're on tomorrow." And I went on. I did a speech in the morning for him. He looked at me, and I remember this so clearly. He just said, Okay, good. You do the Death of Damien speech, the one which is about hang drawing and quartering, which actually happened, which is a true event, and was written about at the time, like Joan of Arc. Earlier. Ron Maxwell, who did Gettysburg, wanted to do Joan of Arc from the text of the trial. They even had the complete text of the trial in Latin and in French. So I went on the next night. That's the worst I've ever been frightened. I've never been frightened since, as I was that night. And it went on without a rehearsal. I just did the Death of Damien for him in the morning, and he just said he's been through the valley of death and beyond. What a note, which means don't get emotional, because he's maybe like Lee Marvin in Point Blank. Marvin turned to Borman, the director, and said, "Oh, I know how to play this. He's dead." I know I'm carrying on with the rest of the movie, but I died at Alcatraz. And he plays it if you want. I'll watch it last night again. I often do. Watch stuff from time to time, I study. And, you only learn from your mistakes, right? You only ever learn. You cannot learn from your victory. When people ask me, what sort of acting do I teach? And I just go, just relax, don't think, do the work. Relax, don't think, do the work. And some stuff from some martial arts stuff, which is what I practice as well, and that helped my acting at a crucial stage of my career. Because I've had ups and downs, over the years. And these last few years have been Michael Caine, to drop a name, bless him, in the Prestige. He and I got on very well, and he just said, "America's been very good to you, hasn't it, son?" And I went, yes, I've enjoyed it. I enjoy it. I still do. Do not think of victory or defeat, but only of cutting and killing. Do not think of victory ahead, but only of cutting, current, and defeat behind. Play in the moment, play in the moment, play in the now. Do not think of victory or defeat, but only of cutting and killing. Musashi's 5 rings. I say that to students, and they go, "Oh, right." Right. Their faces drop, and I think, yeah, it's hard like that. It really is, trust me. I've been there.
Is it important for you as a veteran actor to work with younger actors and kind of instill within them that the work ethic and, that feeling towards acting?
Yeah, because most of the kids can't afford what we had, which is I had a scholarship for 2 years, for God's sake, I'd rather. I mean, solid training. And as I was leaving the academy, having graduated, the boss, who's been great with me, a wonderful man, just said, okay, Shep. I said, what? He said, you've just been offered a job. I said, really? He said, yeah. So get the hell out of here and learn to be an actor. Meaning you're trained, university, you're trained to know what to learn from. It's like you can't teach acting. And I say to students, no, you can't teach acting, of course not. But I can show you how to be better. I'll show you what to look for. I'll show you what to think about. I'll show you what to, little things like you never stop working. You never stop working. You do not go through a day without realizing that that's what you do for a living. You're a professional actor. And Tarantino said, there is something to be said about the older generation of acting. Because he said they're disciplined. When you think about it, of course, Hangman, Marine, McQueen, Marine, Marvin, Marine. You're not going to argue with those guys, And they're also not going to be soppy. They ain't going to be soppy around you. They're not going to be sentimental. They're going to be like the pal who suddenly, says to a director, says to the director, look at that scene they're doing. He said, look. And the director, he said, they're being dramatic in a dramatic scene. Stop it. Stop them. Don't be dramatic in a dramatic scene. You've got to tell the young kids, it's like, what is the most important thing? Know the scene. Just don't know. When I was on Transformers, I know Michael Bay is accused of being, difficult and shouting at people. Well, he only shouts lines. He doesn't shout. I was there, for a couple of weeks, and he shouts lines at you because he likes that kind of freedom. And I suddenly realized, don't just know your lines. You've got to know the scene you're in. And, one kid knew his lines, knew his words, but didn't know the scene, had not studied the scene and understood what was really going on. Because lines aren't anything by themselves, without behavior. Lines are usually just flannel, fluff. They don't actually mean anything half the time. But what you're doing does, what you're actually doing. What does he do? So now that's what I teach, behavior. And what am I doing? What do you mean, what am I doing? What are you actually doing? Are you trying to get him to come to you? Or are you trying to get her to love you? Or are you trying to explain words like in a love scene? Oh, God, I can't describe it. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't play that, because that's what we do. What do you do in real life? I said, go and watch Ralph's Car Park. I want to learn how to act. Watch him. One of my students up where all the cars are on Van Nuys Boulevard in LA, we were walking there, suddenly I'd gone, and she suddenly saw me leave across the side of the road, run across the side of the road, and I was following a little man, who had a bow-legged, and I came back and I said, apparently, that's it, that's the walk. Well, that's the walk I want. Bow-legged. Cowboy. That was my first Western. Gunsmoke Return to Dodge, 1987. And I got the walk from this guy. He had a sailor's, pea coat on, and a little wool hat, and bandy legs. And I thought, there's arthritis. And those bandy legs have got arthritis, because he's a cowboy. Horses, whatever. Okay? Yeah, you do try and teach them. You do try and help them get disciplined, because they don't have all the money in the world, and 6 weeks in an actor's workshop ain't going to cut it. It's not enough. You've got to start from there and go on. I'm still doing it. I'm still learning. I genuinely am still learning, which is great. It's a good business to be.
Well, do you think that that's something that's important to instill in them, as well as always be learning and growing as an actor?
Absolutely. What's the point of doing it otherwise? My son's the same, bless him. And there's boys in Supernatural. My son's in Supernatural. We're the two boys, and he's co-starring. He's 50, 51, 52. Yeah, 52. Mark, and we do conventions together sometimes, and I'll hear him and he'll hear me. And we both preaching very much the same thing. It's about passion. If you ain't got passion, forget it. You're in the wrong business. And I've seen miserable, unhappy guys who play the lead for a couple of $1 million. I've worked with them. And I'm thinking, enjoying this. Ooh, what a pity. Or you've got the responsibility of having to carry the picture, and it's not working, and this is what's at stake. Your career is at stake to a very large extent. I mean, Michael Caine and I had a moment together in the Prestige when we were sitting on our chairs, and suddenly he said, I have difficulty getting out of myself and into a role. I went, rubbish. You don't mind me saying so. And he went, what? I said, he said, we've never done that three or four times. I went, no, you've done 8 or 9. And then I rattled off 8 or 9 in his films. He looked at me and he went, oh, what about you? And I said, oh, I've done it 8 or 9 times. He went, oh, cheeky. And I went, no. I don't carry the picture. I'm not Michael Caine. I walk in, steal the scene, and walk out again. And he went, who told you that? And I went, Stephen Lang looked at me as I walked towards him in my Confederate uniform in Gods and Generals. And he just said, oh, here you go, Morgan. Walks in, steals the scene, and walks out again. Not strictly true. You don't steal scenes from Stephen Lang. But he knows that's what I love about the American player. Competitive in the right way.
And being in the American film industry, did that make you competitive as well? Did it kind of rub off on you?
Yes. But I can hear her now. Wardrobe in a movie in Prague I did. And I've been in Hollywood now for 2 years, 3 years. She went, oh, Morgan, you've changed, darling. You're so aggressive. I went, no, I'm not. I'm just defending my role. It's more important than the laid-back British thing, which is what I used to be like. No, I'm not like that anymore. Look, what it is it's the Tyson thing. You don't punch somebody in the face. You punch them through the face and out the back of the head. And what both of you are saying to each other is, put it very, very simply, bring me your best. And if I bring my best, we've got a chance of doing something that's worthwhile. Very, very American. I learned that very early on here. And I found a competitor. And it wasn't to be, in some cases, the mistake that some of them made is to try and be the best. And all you can ever do is undercut, let's be honest, right? You underplay and undercut the other guy by seeming to do less, because the less you do on film in that respect, the better. But that doesn't mean you stand there and let the microphone do the work, which is what too many of them think. Oh, I can play like this. I can play. And I'm going, where's the energy? Not necessarily you're playing a character for the best 2 hours of his life. You're playing a character, and you want the audience to get it, to empathize you. If you're not playing the lead, then they sympathize with you. But if you, like me, playing my kind of roles, you get them to understand. And the nicest thing is for some of my bad guys sort of things I play, to get a phone call from the director and say, he said, you almost made me believe it. I almost came on your side, came over to your side without arguments in that TV and CIS, where I was a torturer. And I explained why, and stuff like that. Interrogation, it was about Waterboy. And he explained, what these pro guys do. Need to be slightly psychopathic, to do it as for a living, I would think. But I understand it. I've seen it, and I've worked with it, and I've worked with some of the strangest people, and the real people, and the real ones. The ones that do the research, the technical advisors standing around the set. Suddenly, you realize that is an ex-Navy SEAL, and that's a guy I have to go and ask him a couple of questions. I went over to Lee Marvin. I went one day on a picture with Lee Marvin. I always wanted to work with him, one of my idols. And I went over to him on then one day when I was dressed as a German general in a Waffen SS uniform. And he just looked at me and said, oh, that's brilliant. I said, yeah, they're war pretty uniforms. Give me a note. Give me a note for my acting class. I teach. Oh, well, okay. Oh, don't explain. Thank you. Go to work. That was my meeting with Lee Marvin. What a line. What a note. Don't explain. De Niro, don't do interviews. It's okay for me. But De Niro, because they want to get into the private stuff with me, you you guys, radio guys, and a lot of the non-TV guys. I love radio, and it's my favorite medium, to be honest, as an actor. I've done quite a few bits for the bits now. I've done a few decent roles, actually, for the LA Theatre Works, which are all broadcast, and to be upped up, because I can do voices and stuff like that. And I love radio because it is so subtle, and you must fill every silence. You can't afford a silence, right? You can't afford the pause. You got to earn the pauses. What Damien Evans said to Vanessa Ray, and I one day, she was working. I was a junior actor then. And suddenly Damon Evans went, oh, dear Boyd, never pause. But when you do it for 20 minutes. And then I worked with Pinter. I was very lucky. I did a whole season with Pinter at the Royal Shakespeare Company. And there you learn about pauses. And then I say to students, okay, we can't do it. You can't do it? Yes, you can. Look at Henry Fonda. Look at that walk that Henry Fonda does in Once Upon a Time in the West. You watch that man walk. That walk is so full of purpose. He just doesn't walk to get to there. He's walking thinking, I'm going to have to kill this guy, and whatever I'm going to have to do. I stole that for the Western I did, my first Western. I stole exactly that. Oh, there's Matt Dillon. That's Matt Dillon face to face. Okay. Let's see if I can kill him, But I couldn't.
We've talked about kind of, acting and the things that motivate you and what you've been doing in acting. And, I'm kind of curious, and this ties right back into Elvira. In the film, there's some makeup and prosthetics. And how do you feel about, in that film particularly, but also just in your career in general, the use of makeup and prosthetics and how they can amplify or enhance or sometimes even detract from...
Yeah, they can detract, but you can make sure they don't. You do your damnedest to make sure that you don't allow them to detract. You've got to aid and abet. And Elvira was a difficult one. It was a lot of makeup, sometimes 3 or 4 hours easily. Star Trek, eventually Star Trek, you get a mask, so you end up with a mask of Klingon stuff. Dictator and Vulcan and Babylon 5. Yeah, but I've done a lot of science fiction stuff, quite a lot. I enjoy it, but I'm put it this way. You walk into the Paramount wardrobe, the makeup, and one of the Westmores, one of them, that huge family of Westmores, suddenly will say to him, what are you playing? Well, I'm doing Katai in Voyager. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's the old. Oh, we've got a lion face up there we haven't used. Try that on you. Go and try it on. And you pulled it down from up on the ceiling and pulled it down from a ceiling shelf and put it on and walked around in it, talked in it, because you've got to be able to penetrate through the mask, play through the mask, which is one of the things why a lot of British actors are used in Hollywood because mask work, because they do a lot of stuff like that. Mind you, we've been trained as well. When you've had 2 years training, it's more than a kid. A lot of actors have gone to 6 or 8 weeks in the workshop, and then they run out of money, and they've got to build a career around that, and many of them do. But prosthetics, Peter O'Toole, Pete said when he was doing the King thing with Katie Hepburn, he said, what's the best acting you've ever seen? She went, Spencer. He said, well, you would say Spencer Tracy. I mean, he was upstairs at the time, And she went, yeah, but the best acting I've ever seen was Spencer. He said, what was that? She said, well, he came downstairs in his briefcase, and he's going into MGM to shoot. He was shooting Jekyll and Hyde, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And he said, I've got to do the transference scenes, which were morphing. You morph 8 hours. And it's like the cartoons thing, you click, change the makeup, slide, check, click, change the makeup, click, click, and you keep doing that, lying there in the position that you're in, and you just do that. He said, they don't need all this rubbish. You don't need it. Because she said, why? He said, look, and in front of me, she said, he just switched, dropped the bag, and became... The only way we can describe it as actors, actress plastique. Suddenly, he just changed without makeup. Billy Crudup did it in Elvira. Didn't wear any makeup to play Elvira. I've done it. I met my wife in an Irish musical in L.A. No, London. What am I saying? In London, and she'd seen the play 2 or 3 times, and said to the lead, Donald. She said, "Where's the old man who comes on at the end of the play?" And he went, "Oh, he's over there. Morgan. It's Morgan." And this beautiful 19-year-old model walked up to me and just said, "Oh my goodness, and you do it without makeup, don't you?" I said, "Yes." I was playing a 70-year-old guy. I also played one on television, 70 years, and I was 30. No makeup. You can do it. It can be done. You don't need, in those days, the pan, everybody's color was the same. You look at anybody's forehead, it's a different color from the rest of the face. And I'm known now for less, please, just a smattering. Just a smattering. Don't overdo it. Don't pancake me, for Christ's sake. It's old-fashioned. It's out of date. I can do the rest. Okay? That's what you do. That's what you do. You can do it. But of course, if you've got to do, your Balkans and your whatever, your Romulans and et cetera, yeah, you've got to have masks. Masks are quicker. Snell, Snell is a wonderful guy. He developed so much of the Star Trek characters. He taught me quite a few things. A lot of it was just to make sure that the mouth wasn't movable, because that is the worst thing. And hair. I've got a beard, and I keep it as far as I can. I only take it off for specials. I leave it on a little thin, small, sharp little beard, because I had to give face definition anyway. But I can't bear wearing the hair. I really do hate it, because I'm doing it now, talking to you, and I'm restricting myself straight away. The voice is suddenly becoming constricted because of this damned fuzz, So if I could do without it, I will. And I suggest it sometimes, and sometimes they let me do it. But there was a lot of makeup in Vincent. It's quite a bit. Particularly the more I became the ogre towards the end of the movie. When I started chasing her and to kill her and failing dismally.
And what was that climax, in that makeup? What was it like filming the climax of the film?
That was a son of a bitch, to be honest. It was a very difficult. We ran over the explosions in the garden. You remember all the bang, bang, bang in the graveyard. And that was very, very difficult to do because of the timing. Because you've got to time the turn away from where the explosion is. The squad. What do you call it? The explosion, the small.
Right.
Yeah. Explosions. There were about 8 of them, and then Jimmy would change the order, and I go bananas. Try not to, you don't. You just think, oh, God, no, what are the numbers again, please? And he said, I want to start. The first explosion will be squibs. The first one will be number 3. Then we go back to number 1. 3, 1, okay, and I've got to remember the running on. And then, are you ready? Everybody ready? Okay, right. Standing by, ready, okay. Oh, let's go with the... Don't do that to me. Please don't do that to me. Don't change it and then expect me to shoot and remember it. And that was the only difficulty. That was the difficulty. Because you want to turn away from this, and also you want to be seen in camera. And I'd learned from working with O'Toole, where O'Toole says, turn your back on them once or twice, let them look at something else. They don't want to keep looking at your face, because nobody keeps looking at somebody all the time. You don't. You just don't. It doesn't happen. So an O'Toole would play a scene on stage for a play. He'd play a scene, the beginnings of the scene, he'd play off his back, and then would come to the face of being seen downstage usually, and then he would do another turn and go into showing his back, and which could be quite mystifying actually, because the audience were trying to work out what the hell he was really doing, but he wanted to maintain contact. Yeah, the scenes were tough. Particularly the morphing into the ogre at the end. I mean, where you go full build, and that was prosthetics being added, but you couldn't drink Sorry, you could drink through a straw, but you couldn't eat. So I had a tough, all I remember is I had a tough 17-hour period, which it ran on for about 17 hours, not consecutively, but there was a break in between. But I had that makeup on for a long, long time. Had to. And then not take it off, because otherwise we've got to start all over again, you know. So I'd sleep in my trailer. And I was co-starring, so I mean, so whatever it was, you know. So they looked after me, and they do. They're very good like me. They really do. They know how to take care of you, providing, you know, just be nice. Just be nice. You know, you don't have to be an animal to get your own way. You know?
Right.
And Clint Eastwood said that. And you don't. You just do it and enjoy it. And if I say to kids, just enjoy it, for God's sake. Welcome. And if you screw up, which join the club, I have screwed up on every film I've ever done. I've done something dumb, or something dumb has happened to me, or I've done something silly. I've overestimated or underestimated or something, you know. And above all, what is it? You made the wrong choice. You've not made a strong enough choice. That's usually what's at fault with acting. So you don't have enough energy, and I learned that from Salome Jens. Whatever I want it now. Whatever it is I want it now. Give it to me. Come on. You know, it's that. You don't need a big voice. You don't need shouting. You don't need any of that. We didn't even do that in the theatre. We didn't do it in the Stratford on Avon. You don't shout. You don't need to. But you speak clearly and with the end of your sentence. That is the trick, which is, you know, beware the inexorable law of falling inflections.
So, you know, once you were done with the film, what were your kind of feelings towards the finished product when you finally got a chance to see it?
Pleasantly surprised. Funnier than I imagined or thought. Yeah, funnier than I thought. And a sort of glow. I felt okay about it, really. I thought it was one of my better ones. It certainly wasn't dull. And good energy. And we got really, there's such a following for her. Such a following. It's quite amazing over the years. How long ago was that? You know, I can't even remember now. But
1988.
Thank you. My God, I'd only been here about a year and a half, 18 months. That's right. I'm still fitting into Hollywood, remember. Still trying to find out who I was and what I was doing there. Because I'd come on Max Headroom. Oh, it's Black Reg is one of my favorite characters of all time. Still is. Marvelous role. And that got me to Hollywood. And I landed a good agent, and suddenly, wow, I can stay here. I better unpack. I did with Pat Stewart the same for his Star Trek. I better 6 weeks later he unpacked. I was sort of the same. And anyway, here I was, and it's grown over the years. It's quite every convention I do, there'll almost be one or two people who want a Vinny photograph, and I've got them. I've got the ones with the shoe stuck in the head. Yeah, that's right. I've got some photographs and got that one, and that's the one they always ask for. And it's always 2 or 3 people out of, say, 100 will always talk about. And I've done, God knows how many, 57 years, and I've worked pretty steadily. A couple of hundred. Yeah, I've basically got a couple of hundred IMDb because they've missed out on about 20. I've still got to go in, but whatever. When I think about correcting it, I've done a lot of voice work and a lot of voice characters, and there you play all sorts. So it's great, and creating characters to match what's up there. And yet every so often you get the Lord's Prayer to do in Pirates of the Caribbean, and not on camera, but I did the Lord's Prayer off camera, and that was something of a moment of a man being hanged. I remember that, and because I was just the vocal talent. But it meant it was important, and it had to be done a certain way, and it was. They seemed to like it, and that's a reward. It's often a small reward, but the business is full of goodness in many ways. It's full of idiots too, but we do ignore them. You're not going to. I'm not going to have coffee with them. Hear about their problems. I really don't. Not about, oh, he's interesting. I go and sidle up there and say, hi, how are you doing? And I loved you in so-and-so. And that's lovely to be able to say, to walk up to. And, you know, the American character actor, I mean, Jesus, I was brought up watching, you know, Warren Oates and Slim Pickens, and, you know, Slim Pickens, my God, what a career. You know, Doctor Strange stuff, and then Van Garden, Little Kid. 2 great scenes. Met him as 2 great scenes, and you know, oh, shut up, I know. Yeah, okay. Dying in the desert, and then Katie Colorado watching him, and Dylan singing the song, and he's dying in the chair. And I said, and you then go and sit on the bomb in Doctor Strange stuff and go down and blow the world to pieces. And he went, yeah, not bad for an old character actor. And and you could see he was so pleased that somebody remembered it specifically. And that's what fans do. They remember specifically. And I've been caught by fans who say, oh, I loved you as Kenneth in Gargoyles. What? I loved you as Kenneth in Gargoyles. Kenneth. I did. The old man, Peter, the Greek, did the Greek Kenneth? Yeah. Yes, the Scottish. Oh, the Scottish accent. Yes, okay. Thank you. I've forgotten that. You can't remember all that. But somebody remembered it, and somebody grew up. That's what's fun. Every so often lately, now it's because I'm older. You scared me. What? Dr. Zito, MacGyver. Oh, yes. Yeah, you had 2 of those. Zito, they kept wanting to bring you back. Yes. The man, it was pre-Hannibal Lecter. That's what it was. It really was a pre-Hannibal. That was... I scared you? He said, yep. I could not go to sleep. I was 7 or 8. This guy, this middle-aged man looking at me laughing. You know? So when you had that happen to you, it makes it worthwhile. It's not a bad business if you're lucky.
Right.
But you've got to be good.
Are you a fan of the horror genre? And if you are, do any films stick out to you as films that you particularly enjoy?
No, I'm not. I don't. I see horror films every so often, and I'll watch the very best ones. But I'm racking my brains now to think of what have I really been scared with? Madness always frightens me, or makes me very aware. Makes me view a film very sharply. Madness to do with. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's not really a horror film, is it? But it is at the ending. When you look at that ending, you look at what they do to Nicholson.
Right.
That's a horror film. Brilliant horror.
I think horror is it's a really kind of a subjective term, really.
Yeah. What's your favorite horror film?
Off the top of my head, I would probably have to go with, Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one. I think that's a classic. And
oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the Screams, really, one of the early ones of those two. Saw. Yeah, that's right. I look for the film, rather like, as I say, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's a bit of a cheat, I suppose, to say that, to call it a horror film. But The Omen, definitely, because Greg Peck was very kind to me on the movie, and was a charming, marvelous man. Lovely fellow, really nice man, a gentle man. And I'd sit and have dinner with him occasionally on location. And because I'd done some voiceovers for stuff he'd produced, called the David done a movie, and I'd done voices in England, the commercials. And so we then would talk, it sort of singled me out from the rest of the cast. With him, so we could talk, and I learned a great deal from him about Hollywood, and I've never been there. I've been through Hollywood on the way up to Broadway, but we stopped in Hollywood for about a week on a show, and then we went up to Broadway, but with Peck. Anyway, The Omen, he talked about that, but that's a serious film. I mean, that really is a serious film. It's not just a movie. Rosemary's Baby. So yeah, I've seen quite a few of them, but I tend to stay away from the zombies. But I've watched all the Val Lewton stuff, the stuff, you guys would know about that, the Val Lewton films and the wonderful advice that Lewton gave people like Robert Wise doing their first films. He said, don't spend it, you've got a limited budget, a very small budget, and don't waste your money on big sets. Build one decent set. Put the entire movie into that decent set, except for angles, corners, behind a door, inside the door, and another corner, Carnation Butcher's block. You work around these. They could be separate sets. But your main money, which was $20,000 for one movie, the cat people. There you go. Them scared the hell out of me, which reminded me. Them really did scare with the ants. But that's not really a horror film. It's just, it's a film. So I'm looking at probably the best, I think. I'm quoting the best. Okay?
Are you working on anything now that you'd like to talk about?
No, I'm unemployed at the moment. I'm expecting the film that I've been promised and that we were doing last year will be doing November or February. Was the last time the producer rang me from Canada and said, you're still on for that? Are you fit? I said, yeah, I'm fit. Yeah, I'm much fitter than I was, actually. I'm fine. I'm really feeling quite strong. I just had a difficult shoot on a good little movie, which I've done in the one I did in Texas, and with some great people, and that was fun. We just done that one, and I'm sort of voiceovering at the moment, and I've got an audition now. Actually, I don't know, sorry. So, so that's it. I'm waiting and writing. I'm catching up with some writing, which I enjoy doing as a hobby. It is only a hobby, really. But I've got a book on acting, which is about 280 pages. I've got to edit before I can. I think it's quite good. I was quite pleased. It's from all the mistakes I've ever made, and I mention them and I tell them what the mistakes are, and then what I do to fix them or what the changes should be. And problem solving, I do that. I do a lot of that. How do you solve problems? Yeah, and the most difficult thing to get is the secret policeman in your head. That voice that says, you're not really good enough, You're not really. I know you think you're good, but you're not really that good, are you? Fear coming. Oh, here comes the shadow. Yeah. Shut up. Been there, done that. But we have to go there again. I have to go there, and you go there. But now I can go there and get away. I can come away. What are you going to do? Kill me? What you going to do? Fire me? No, it's all right. I can work. Yeah, I've worked with quite a few difficult people. And usually, in all honesty, it's never been about them or their ego. Most of the time, it's about, can we get the work to that place where I think it should be? And my director doesn't get it. Not quite. He's playing safe. That's what a lot of them do. That's what... Once you recognize that in them, like Christian Bale, fierce passion, intensity, passion, absolute passion. No wonder he shouted at somebody, walking across his eye line. Are you kidding? How long did it take him to get himself into that place? And it's fragile, or fragile, as you call it. That's what it is. He's getting to this place, and somebody dropped a hammer. Damn. And it's always, that was a good take, and I'm sorry, Morg. Yeah, I know it was, but we got to go again. Oh, the eyeline was wrong or something. You never blame cameramen because they're saving your ass anyway. My God, have I been saved by cameramen. One of the best moments I had was in Gunsmoke: Return to Dodge, where Big Tony Epper, the stunt guy, has a line before we go out there to get killed by Earl Holliman and James Ernest at the end of the shoot down at the end of the movie. And he just says to me, let's do it, eh? Shall we do it? Yeah. Shining times have long gone. And when I looked at him to take, his blue eyes were full of tears. And he's a stuntman. His eyes were full of tears. And I went completely. And I stood up where I wasn't supposed to. And my hat, little bowler hat, kind of hat, I just tossed in the air. And the cameraman got it. He saw me move, sensed I was going, went with me. Luckily, I went slowly, up, and then my hat, and he caught the hat. That's a cameraman. Made me look $1 million. Made me, bless him. I went, he said, don't worry, kid, I've been saving you the whole movie. was my first Western, and you was my first Western, you know. I was soaking it up. Anyway, all right.
All right, big thanks to William Morgan Sheppard for sitting down and talking with me about Elvira. Let's talk a little bit about horror comedy movies. There aren't a whole lot of them.
Yeah, it's hard to do, you know? Like, it's really hard to do both because it's like two extreme opposites.
Yeah, and, you know, when I think of horror comedy, I think of Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
Tusk comes to mind.
Yeah, I thought that was surprisingly funny. Really good.
Right. I mean, it's, you know, it's a Kevin Smith movie, but he doesn't do the typical Kevin Smith stuff, which is nice.
Right. And what's the guy? The actors are just, oh my God, he's so good. What's his name?
Justin Long.
No, the older guy.
Oh, Michael Parks.
Holy crap. He's just so good. He's so talented. And like just watching him play this crazy character. I remember watching the trailer and like, it's just so brilliant. He's so real and yet so crazy. And
oh yeah.
So,
no, I agree.
That kind of stuff he made it funny for me. He was great.
But horror comedy, there might not be, there are more than you would think, but not a lot of them are very well done.
Yeah. I mean, I remember I was blown away when I first saw Scary Movie because that's when I was crazy about Scream, and like that's the first parody movie I had seen, and they did it in such a smart way. Like to me, the jokes were smart. The way that they made fun of specific scenes in movies, I really liked that. You know, and they do that in Elvira too. Like she makes fun of Flashdance for a second, and like that's fun. Like that for me is fun if it's done in the right way, to where I'm not expecting it or it's not so obvious. You know,
right? That's
when it really works for me. But that's parody.
Yeah, and I feel like if you're gonna do a horror comedy right, you can't fully commit to comedy or horror.
Exactly. I totally agree.
And sometimes there are things that you watch where you're just like, okay, this is just total comedy.
Exactly. And then it's just like the horror is just gimmicky, cheesy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not a huge fan of that.
Me neither. I'm with you on that. I think that what makes a really good horror comedy is staying absolutely true to the horror genre, but then there's some it's like the way you twist it and the way you tell it and the way you lead from one moment to the next that makes it funny. I don't know. I guess maybe my favorite horror comedy, the newest one that I've seen, was maybe like Zombieland. I really liked that, and that had moments that were like, I guess even that I wouldn't say it was scary, but there were moments that made me jump that I didn't expect. I remember seeing it, and it took me so long to see that movie because I thought it was just going to be comedy with some horror thrown in, you know.
Right.
But I thought it was a good blend there. And that was like a good example of like, I was scared sometimes, but then I was laughing my ass off the rest, you know?
Yeah. I really enjoyed, you know, we're talking here about horror comedies, the new Fright Night remake.
Oh yeah.
That was surprisingly good as well. I did not expect that to be nearly as good as it ended up being.
Yeah, definitely.
But it was horror comedy.
Absolutely. And I thought the original Fright Night I love the original Fright Night. So I mean, that's a great example too. Yeah. I mean, that one I think veers more on horror to me, but there definitely is a great comedy aspect to it. I don't know.
Yeah. And you know, for me, horror comedy when done right is so great, but when it is done poorly, it is just,
it's a wreck.
Well, it's you're sitting and asking yourself, couldn't you have just made a comedy,
right,
and not even had the horror aspect to it?
Exactly. It's kind of, and then you're like, yeah, exactly, because like the horror is always the part that's forced and
right
and far. Yeah, it's kind of movies like that are tough to sit through.
Yeah. How does Elvira rank up against kind of some of the other horror comedies that you've seen?
You know, like I said, her jokes at first I was like, what the hell's that? But then I realized like that's her. That's who she is. And I kind of and then I start loving her for that. You know what I mean? I love her for the jokes. So I like it. It's not, I don't find it like rolling on the floor laughing. I never like cracked out loud, like wasn't cracking up, but it was fun. And it kind of gave me the, like, it's like a warm movie, you know?
Right.
And that's where you get it from. So I thought I liked it, you know? I still don't think it's all the way comedy. I don't think it's all the way horror. So maybe that's what we're talking about. Maybe it's kind of right there in the middle.
I think it's actually more comedy than horror.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Which is perfectly fine. But I just wish it was more horror than comedy. But with a character like Elvira, you can't really expect it to be a whole lot.
Right. I mean, nothing's going to scare her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Except for, I mean, you know, nothing's going to really horrify her, rather.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And that, it's not that this feels like a missed opportunity, but it's true to the character, and that's really all that matters with this. Well, Sean, skip it or watch it, and best performance.
Watch it, because it is to me. I felt like I'm so glad I finally watched it after all these years. It's something that kept popping up. It definitely. I thought I was going to miss something not having known about Elvira beforehand, but I didn't. It's a fun movie. I would definitely say it's worth a watch. It's definitely not. Yes, watch it. It's hard to explain. My favorite performance. Oh man, that's hard. I really love. Okay. Let me see what her name is. The old lady that I see her a lot more recently. She's the. Oh man, I'm so sorry. What is her name?
Edie McClurg, the one who plays Chastity Pariah.
Yes, that's her. Oh, I love her. She's in a bunch of like sketch comedy that I've been watching recently. I love her, and I think I wish she, like you said, I wish we had more character from her. But I loved when she finally, like when they broke her and she at that picnic, and she went all in. I kind of love her for it,
Yeah. No, she's definitely, of the townspeople, she's the most entertaining.
Yeah, I love her.
Yeah.
I was excited to see her in the movie.
For me, I'm going to say watch it. As much as there were some kind of problems with the movie, I think that it's still worth a watch. Just because it is true to her character, which is important for the film. I mean, if you had her in just a straight horror movie, I don't think it would have been very good.
Oh, no, I don't think it would work. You just don't expect her to, yeah.
Right. No, yeah, that's not the kind of, character that I would hope. That's not the kind of film I would hope her character would be in, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, as for best performance, since I'm not going to pick Cassandra Peterson because she's essentially the reason that this movie existed because of her character. Right. I have to give it to William Morgan Sheppard. He's the second best part of this movie, as Vincent Talbot, the bad guy.
Yeah.
So, I think that he does a good job being given. He's not supposed to be like too menacing because it is a comedy movie, a comedy horror. So he can't fully go like full horror.
Yeah, he's got to,
which is perfectly fine. I mean, again, it wouldn't make sense if he did go full horror.
Right.
So
be out of place. Yeah.
Yeah. What with our opinions on record, Sean, what do you think the Rotten Tomato meter is at for the film?
I got to imagine that's got to be kind of high for it to still be around, and like I said, for me to be able to notice it. So let me say, I want to say about, I don't know, 75%.
Ooh.
Am I totally off?
No, totally off.
Oh God.
47%.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not surprised about that, but I am surprised that it could. I mean, is this cult yet? Is this cult status?
I feel like the Elvira character just on her own is cult status.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That totally makes sense.
I mean, I don't hear people being like, Elvira, the Mistress of Darkness is like a cult classic, but I think it has a audience among her fans.
That makes sense. I mean, true. That's true.
So
yeah, and it's not like I hear her name all the time. I just notice it because I'm weird. And I like weird stuff, so I see her all.
Well, and if you're a fan of Elvira, then this movie works for you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're right. It really is all dependent on what Elvira does for you,
Yeah, if you're a fan of Elvira, then you're going to enjoy this movie.
Exactly.
If you're not, then you're probably just going to be like, this movie's okay.
Exactly. That makes sense. Yeah, you have to really, I will say that if you do watch this, you have to like her, or else you might as well turn it off.
Yeah, if you're not into her character, then you probably won't enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
Well, before I talk about next week's shows, Sean, is there anything you want to plug?
I'll just say follow me on Twitter. I'm Seanifer with 2 N's. And then also To Survive is now on Hulu, so check that out.
Oh, is it really?
It is. And Amazon
So
Prime.
now you have no excuse, people, to not watch To Survive.
That's right. It is free with a Hulu subscription, so there's no excuse.
Yeah, there is no excuse now. As for me, you can follow me on Twitter at Culture Stash. Check out cultureshock.com. We have video game reviews, movie reviews, and a whole lot more. Do 3 podcasts a week for this month a week because we have, like I said, too many interviews. Tomorrow, Thursday, we're going to be talking about Demons, the Italian horror film from the 80s. And then next Monday, we're going to be talking about Laid to Rest with an interview with Nick Principe, who played Chrome Skull in the film. So make sure to check that out.
Let me tell you about a friend of mine, a big bad brother named Frankenstein, in a torn up Armani looking mighty fine. I mean, the brother was smoking, literally, sewn up with a needle and thread, put together with parts from the dead. Except they put his nuts on the side of his head. What in the world were they thinking? Dracula is afraid of life. He only comes out of his coffin at night. Slips out to have him a bite out of somebody's neck, that is. He's a vampire bat, sucking on blood, gets slow and fast. Except I don't know if he should really be doing that. I mean, I hope he practices safe stuff.